Hello everyone, welcome to biology class. So in this class we shall see 12th standard botany chapter 4 principles and processes of biotechnology. In this part of the video we shall discuss more about the biotechnology and its uses. First we will see a bioassay for target gene effect. So assay refers to analysis. So here we are going to analyze the effect of target gene. So first, what is a target gene? Target gene is nothing but a target DNA or a foreign DNA or a passenger DNA, exogenous DNA, that is the DNA that is not apart from the DNA that is contained in the nucleus. Okay, nucleus contained DNA is called endogenous DNA. Apart from the DNA contained in the nucleus, they are referred to as exogenous DNA. That is the DNA found in mitochondria, etc. Or the gene of interest or insert DNA that is to be either cloned or specifically mutated is called as target gene effect. So we are going to study what is the effect that the target gene have in the inserted organism. So that is called as the bioassay for target gene effect. So the gene targeting experiments have been targeting the nuclei and this leads to gene knockout. Gene knockout is nothing but the organism's gene is made inoperative. That is, the gene will lose its function. It is called as gene knockout. And for this purpose, two types of targeting vectors are used. They are number one, insertion vector, number two, replacement vector. First, insertion vector. Insertion vector is nothing but it is entirely inserted into the target locus as the vectors are linearized within the homology region. So first it is introduced, inserted into the targeted locus as vectors are linearized within the homology region, because initially the vectors, most of the vectors are employed are plasmids. The plasmids are circular, but the vectors are during insertion it is made linear. Okay, and this leads to duplication of sequences adjacent to the selectable marker. So you will be having in vector certain selectable marker. So nearer to the selectable marker, the sequences become duplicated. The second type is called replacement vector. So the replacement vector has the homology region that is collinear with the target. So it is similar to that of the target, and this vector is linearized prior to transfection. That is the previous type, after it is inserted only it is made linear, but here after transferring it as a linear form, then only it will be inserted, and consequently a crossing over occurs to replace the endogenous DNA with the incoming DNA. So a crossing over is made, and this whatever we are going to insert, that is called as the incoming DNA. So the endogenous DNA, the DNA that is already contained in the organism, will be replaced by the incoming DNA. So since it is getting replaced, it is called as replacement vector. Next, transfection. So here we have come across a term transfection. What is transfection? The introduction of foreign nucleic acids into cells by non-viral methods. So other than the virus, so virus is one of the tool that we are using it for gene transfer. Other than the virus, whatever the means that we are using for the introduction of the foreign nucleic acid is called as transfection. The next is genome sequencing and plant genome project. So the entire DNA of an organism is called its genome. So where and all the genes will be found in an organism, it will be found in nucleus, mitochondria or plastids. And the genome will contain both functional sequences and also the non-expressive DNA proteins. So the genome project, we are going to study the whole genome. We are going to analyze the sequences. And in which are organisms the genome sequencing have already taken place. So it have been so far taken place in Chlamydomonas. It is a kind of algae, Arabidopsis thaliana, rice and maize. So in all these, the genome sequence project have been undertaken earlier. And the genome content, okay, so when we are analyzing the genome, how it is expressed? This is expressed in terms of base pairs, or in terms of the content of the DNA is expressed as a C value. So how you can define genome sequencing? The location of genes on the entire diploid chromosome of an organism is called genome sequencing. So here, do you know? So barcode. So barcode, you will be familiar. In books also there will be at the back of the book you will be having a barcode. And also similarly in the items when we are purchasing from the supermarket, in the items there will be a barcode. So when it is scanned, the barcode is read, okay, it will give the details like price and all, it will be given. Similarly, a barcode is also in terms of genetic terms, it is used when we read the barcode, we can find out the genetic makeup of an organism. So it is an optical machine readable representation of data, and this describes about the characters of any plants or any objects. The next we are going to see evolutionary pattern assessed using DNA. So the evolutionary relationship between the different plant taxa can be analyzed by studying its DNA. Okay, so when we study the DNA sequence, whether it is having similar DNA sequences or different DNA sequences, we can know the evolutionary relationship between the organisms. So based on such analysis, the taxa and their relationship are indicated in cladogram. Cladogram is nothing but a branching diagram which show the cladistic relationship. And the cladistics is nothing but the organisms are classified based upon a common ancestor. And it also, such a cladogram will show the genetic distance between two taxa, whether they are related or not. And it also showed antiquity or modernity of any taxa with respect to one another. The next is genome editing and CRISPR-Cas9. This genome editing or gene editing, it is nothing but a technology. By using this technology, we are going to change the organism's DNA. That is, change means either we can add or we can remove or we can alter the particular locations of the gene in the genome. And several approaches for genome editing have been developed. One such process, a recent process, okay, it is called as CRISPR-Cas9. So which is nothing but clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic repeat and CRISPR associated protein 9. So this system, okay, it is very much useful because it is faster, cheaper, it is more accurate and more efficient method. Okay, and the genome editing was first reported in rice. By using this method, it was first reported in rice. And the editing tool can be used to make hybrid rice plants. And Imtiaz Khan and Venkateshan Sundaresan and colleagues reported in a new study which clearly shows that one can engineer rice such that it will switch from the sexual mode of reproduction to asexual mode of reproduction. The next topic we are going to see is RNA interference. Okay, RNAi. All characters of the organisms are the result of the expression of different genes which are regions of nuclear DNA. That is, the DNA will be converted into mRNA. That process is called transcription, and mRNA will be converted into protein. That process is called translation. So the transcription, copying the genetic information from one strand of the DNA, that is DNA will be double stranded. One strand of DNA which is going to be copied as an mRNA is referred to as sense strand. So this process of DNA to RNA is referred to as transcription. And as the RNA is formed as a result of transcription, some changes has to take place before the process of protein synthesis, that is translation. So it has to be edited, and the RNA should be made suitable for the translation or the protein synthesis process to take place. One such editing process is the removal of the introns. Introns are nothing but the non-coding segments of the RNA will be removed. Okay, and all these changes before translation normally takes place whereby certain regions of DNA are silenced. However, there is an RNAi pathway, that is the RNA interference pathway. The RNA interference is nothing but it is a biological process in which the RNA molecule inhibits the gene expression or translation. And this is done by neutralizing the targeted mRNA molecule. So we are preventing the expression of the RNA. So that's why it is called as RNA interference. So a simplified model for RNA interference pathway is based on 2 steps. And both the steps are going to involve some enzymes. The enzyme is called ribonuclease enzyme. In the first step, the trigger RNA, okay, that is the double-stranded RNA or the micro-interfering RNA primary transcript is processed into a short interfering RNA, that is siRNA. The trigger RNA is processed into siRNA. So for this process, they are using an enzyme that is called as the ribonuclease enzyme. Okay, and this ribonuclease enzyme which is used here is the RNase 2 enzyme called DICER and DROSHA. Okay, so that is this double-stranded RNA. By using these enzyme, it is cut into short interfering RNA. So here you can see. So this RNA is made like this short segment. So it is called short interfering RNA. And the second step, the siRNA is loaded into the effector complex. So once it is uptaken, so this is the plant cell, and when this siRNA is uptaken by the nematode is a invertebrate. Okay, so we have learnt under phylum Nematoda. Okay, otherwise referred to as Helminthes. So when it is taken up, what happens here? It leads to loading of the effector complex. Okay, this effector complex is nothing but RISC, RNA induced silencing complex, and in this short interfering RNA is unwound. Unwound means it is in the form of double-stranded RNA. No, unwound means separation of the strands will take place. And during the RNA unwound during the RISC assembly, the single-stranded RNA, okay, because it is unwound, now the single-stranded RNA, it gets hybridized with the mRNA target. Okay, when it hybridizes with the mRNA target, so it leads to the cleavage of the mRNA target. Now this expression of the mRNA is interfered. So this process is called as RNA interference. And this RNA interference is seen in plant feeding nematodes. The next process we are going to see is the development of transgenic plants or genetically modified crops, GM crops. First, we are going to see how they are making the herbicide tolerance plant. The glyphosate weeds are a constant problem in crop field. Okay, so herbs are nothing but, or weeds are nothing but the plants which grow amidst the crop plant. Okay, and these weed plant will compete with the crop plant for sunlight, for water, nutrients, for space, everything they will compete with the crop plant. And not only that, and it is also a carrier for insects and diseases. That is, it may act as a host for different kinds of insect or disease causing organisms. The crop plant can also be affected by those insects and diseases. Okay, so if we are not controlling the weed plants can reduce the crop yield. And transgenic plants, they contain a novel DNA introduced into its genome. So the transgenic plant, first we are going to see about the herbicide tolerant glyphosate. The glyphosate herbicide, it is produced by Monsanto USA company under the trade name Roundup. It kills the plants, that is, it kills the weed plants by blocking the 5-enopyruvate shikimate 3-phosphate synthase enzyme. In short, it is called as EPSPS enzyme. And an enzyme, so this enzyme is involved in the biosynthesis of aromatic amino acids, vitamins, and many other plant metabolites. And there are several ways by which the crops can be modified to be glyphosate tolerant. Okay, because if the crop plant is not made glyphosate tolerant, it may affect the crop plant also. So that what we are going to make, we are going to make the crop plant glyphosate tolerant, and the wheat plant, okay, will be killed. And one strategy is to incorporate a soil bacterium gene that produces glyphosate tolerant form of EPSPS. And another way is to incorporate a different soil bacterium gene that produces glyphosate degrading enzyme. Okay, so let's see the protocol. So how they are making this glyphosate tolerant potato plant. So they are introducing a gene. Okay, so that gene is called as BAR gene. So this BAR gene is introduced by means of using a vector and the cell culture of potato with BAR gene. So now because of this BAR gene, the potato plant is made herbicide tolerant. Okay, and it is when it is grown artificially. Okay, in vitro means outside, that is in laboratory. So from that cells, we can initiate the formation of a callus, that is undifferentiated mass of cells, and the callus can be stimulated for the production of organs, that is called as organogenesis. By this way, we can make herbicide tolerant transgenic potato plant. Let's see what are the advantages of this herbicide tolerant crops. The weed control. So we are controlling the weed so that the crop yield will be high. And we can reduce the spray of herbicide and reduce the competition between the crop plant and weed. So we know that the weed is going to compete with the crop plant for water, for sunlight, nutrients, space, everything. So we can reduce the competition. And we can use use of low toxicity compounds which do not remain active in the soil. So whenever we are not going to use the chemical substances, it will reduce the toxic compounds level. And the ability to conserve soil structure and microbes. So whenever we are not using any chemical substances, it will conserve the soil structure and also the indigenous microorganisms of the soil. Next, herbicide tolerant BASTA. So we are going to see herbicide tolerant BASTA. BASTA, the trade name, it refers to non-selective herbicide containing the chemical compound called phosphinothrin. And the BASTA herbicide tolerant gene was isolated from Medicago's sativa plant. So this BASTA, it inhibits the enzyme glutamine synthase. So this glutamine synthase is involved in ammonia assimilation. So when it inhibits the glutamine synthase which is involved in ammonia assimilation, the ammonia cannot be used up. And the PPT gene was introduced into tobacco, and after the introduction of this gene, the transgenic tobacco plant can be produced, and this transgenic tobacco plant is made resistant to the PPT gene. Okay. And similar enzyme was also isolated from Streptomyces hygroscopicus with a BAR gene which encodes for PAT. And this was introduced into crop plants like potato and sugar beet, and transgenic crops have been developed. So these both are herbicide tolerance. How the crop plant is made as a herbicide tolerant crop. The next is we shall see about the insect resistance. The insect resistance we are going to see about the BT crops, in which first we are going to see BT cotton. So BT cotton is nothing but a genetically modified organism or a genetically modified pest resistant plant. Cotton variety, it produces an insecticide activity to bollworm. So it is an insect. So this crop plant will be having some insecticide resistance. Okay. And the strains of the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis. So this is the name of the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis. That's why it is given BT. It produces 200 different BT toxins, and each of the toxin is harmful to different kind of insects. And most BT toxins, so this kind of toxin, it shows an insecticidal, that is it can kill the insects like the larvae of the moth and butterfly, beetle, cotton bollworms, gadflies. But it can kill only these organisms, but they are harmless to other forms of life. And the genes, okay, that is the genes which is responsible for the toxic effect is encoded for the toxic crystal in the CRY group of endotoxin. See here CRY stands for the crystal toxin. And when insects attack and eat the cotton plant, so if this insect is going to attack the cotton plant, the CRY toxins are dissolved in the insect's stomach, because the plant will be having this Bt. So whenever the insect is going to eat the cotton plant, the CRY toxin are dissolved in the insect stomach, and the epithelial membrane of the gut, okay, stomach, it blocks certain vital nutrients, thereby sufficient regulation of potassium ions are lost, and this potassium ions loss may lead to the death of the epithelial cells in the intestine, and further it leads to the death of the larvae. What are the advantages of Bt cotton? So yield of cotton can be increased because of we are eliminating the insects, the yield will be increased, and also we need not use any insecticide, and the potential reduction in the cost of cultivation. Disadvantages: the cost of Bt cotton seed, okay, it is high, and effectiveness up to 120 days. After that the efficiency is reduced, and this is effective against only certain insect, but it is ineffective against the pests like jassids, aphids and whitefly, and it also affects, so this also affects the pollinating insects and thus yield. The next kind we are going to see is Bt brinjal. So Bt brinjal is another transgenic brinjal, and it is also created by inserting a crystal protein gene CRY1AC from the soil bacterium, the same bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis, into the genome of various brinjal cultivars. The insertion of the gene along with the other genetic elements such as the promoter sequences, terminator sequences, antibiotic resistance marker into the brinjal plant. How this gene is inserted? These genes are inserted by means of agrobacterium mediated genetic transformation, and the Bt brinjal has been developed to give resistance against. So which kind of insects it is more resistant? It is more resistant towards the Lepidopteran group of insects, and in particular the brinjal fruit and the shoot borer. The name of the insect is Leucinodes orbonalis. This is the binomial name. The next insecticide resistant crop variety we are going to see is Dara mustard hybrid. So DMH11, it is a transgenic mustard, and it is developed by a team of scientists, okay, at the University of Delhi, and this is a government sponsored project. That is, the production is a government sponsored project, and it is genetically modified variety of herbicide tolerant mustard, and this was created by using the Barnase or Barstar technology for gene modification. That is, by adding genes from the soil bacterium to the mustard, it makes the mustard a self-pollinating plant. That is, this Dara mustard hybrid plant, it contains three genes. One is Bar gene, the other one is Barnase, the other one is Barstar, and all these genes are from the soil bacterium, and the Bar gene is the one which makes a plant resistant to the herbicide called Basta. The next we are going to see about virus resistance. Many plants are affected by virus attack, resulting in serious loss in yield and even death, and biotechnological intervention is used to introduce the viral resistance gene into the host plant so that they can resist the attack by virus. And this is by introducing the genes that produce resistance enzyme and which can deactivate the viral DNA. Okay, so one is Flavor Saver tomato. Flavor Saver tomato, how it is produced? Agrobacterium mediated genetic transfer technique was followed, and this using this technique, that is agrobacterium mediated genetic engineering, using this technique it produces Flavor Saver tomato. That is, the tomato will be retaining the natural color and the flavor. And through genetic engineering, the ripening process of the tomato is slowed down. So once the ripening process of the tomato is slow down, it prevents from softening, and thereby it will increase the shelf life period. Okay, shelf life is nothing but the usable or the consumable period, it can be increased. And the tomato was made more resistant to rotting. Rotting is nothing but a decay, so it is made resistant to rotting by means of agrobacterium mediated gene transfer. So what they are introducing into the tomato plant? They are introducing an antisense gene, and this antisense gene, when it is introduced in the tomato plant, it will interfere the production of the enzyme. So it is going to inhibit the enzyme production. What is the name of the enzyme? Polygalacturonase. And this helps in delaying the ripening process of tomato during long storage and transportation. Golden rice biofortification. So golden rice is a variety of rice, Oryza sativa, produced through genetic engineering. So that is, in the normal rice, you will not have the beta-carotene gene, which is a precursor for vitamin A. But this is a genetically modified crop plant in which the normal rice is incorporated with the beta-carotene gene. So with this beta-carotene gene, vitamin A can be synthesized, and this process was developed by Ingo Potricus and his group. And the main aim, okay, of introducing this fortified rice, because this can be grown and consumed in areas where there is a shortage of dietary vitamin A. So when there is a shortage of dietary vitamin A, it will kill many children under the age of 5. So to prevent that only, this was introduced or developed. The golden rice, how it differs from the parental strain of rice. It differs from the parental strain of rice by the addition of 3 beta-carotene biosynthesis gene. What are the names of those genes? PSY, phytoene synthase. So this is from the daffodil plant. CRT1 gene, it is from the soil bacterium. And LYC gene, it is from the wild type rice endosperm. So the endosperm of the normal rice do not contain the beta-carotene. But the golden rice has been genetically altered so that the endosperm, it starts accumulating this beta-carotene. And how this is made possible? It is made possible by means of rDNA or recombinant DNA technology. And this golden rice, so this is the golden rice, this can control the childhood blindness in case of ophthalmia. What are the benefits of this genetically modified food? So the benefits are, the yield is high, 70% reduction of pesticide usage. We need not use pesticides because most of the times we are incorporating pesticide resistance, and it will reduce the soil pollution because in decrease in usage of the chemical pesticides, okay, it will reduce the soil pollution, and it will conserve the normal microbial population found in the soil will be conserved. These are the benefits. Very important answer. The next one is, what are the risks? Okay, one is it will affect the liver, kidney function and can cause cancer. The hormonal imbalance and physical disorder. It can lead to genetically modified food intake, can lead to anaphylactic shock. That is, it will lead to a sudden hypersensitivity reaction, that is allergy reaction, which will lead to the death of the person also. And adverse effect in immune system because of bacterial protein and loss of viability of seeds shown in terminator seed technology of genetically modified crops. The seeds will be less viable. The next is polyhydroxybutyrate. So this is nothing but a synthetic polymer. So it is they are non-degradable. Okay, these polymers are non-degradable, and sorry, not this one. The normal synthetic polymers. The synthetic polymers are usually non-degradable and pollute the soil. And when these synthetic polymer, that is chemically produced, okay, by using certain chemicals, if it is produced, when those polymers are burnt, okay, so this is a synthetic polymer, a kind of plastic. When it is burnt, it will add a gas called dioxin in the environment, and when it is inhaled, it can lead to cancer. So they have taken efforts to produce an eco-friendly biopolymer. Such an eco-friendly biopolymer is this PHB, polyhydroxybutyrate. Polyhydroxyalkanoates and polyhydroxybutyrate, they are the group of degradable biopolymer. So because they are eco-friendly, they can be degraded. And so this also find application in the medicinal field for the drug delivery scaffold and heart valves and all, when they are using the synthetic polymer. Before they were using, but now they have been replaced with this polyhydroxybutyrate, and they are the biological macromolecules and thermoplastics, okay, which are biodegradable and biocompatible. Okay, it can be degraded on biological origin, or it is biocompatible, means friendly. Several microorganisms have been utilized to produce different types of this PHAs, including these are the organisms which are employed for its production: Bacillus megaterium, Bacillus subtilis, Corynebacterium glutamicum, and gram-negative bacteria such as Pseudomonas and alkaligens. The next is polylactic acid, PLA. Okay, so it is also a biodegradable and bioactive thermoplastic. Okay, so it can withstand heat, so it is called as thermoplastic. So here you can see one polylactic acid product. Okay, so you would have seen a tea bag. Okay, they'll be using this polylactic acid for its production. It is an aliphatic polyester. It is derived from renewable source. Okay, that is from biological origin: corn starch, cassava root, chips, starch, or sugarcane. And for the production of this polylactic acid, two main monomers are used. One is lactic acid and the other one is lactide. How it is made? Okay, it is made of lactide with and for this process, for the ring opening polymerization process, the metal serves as a catalyst. Example, tin octioate. This is the catalyst which is in solution, and the metal catalyzed reaction will result in the production of the polylactic acid. Okay, so we have seen about the bioassays, and also we have seen about the transgenic plants and also the GM foods, okay, genetically modified food. Meet you in the next video. Thank you.